Story time.
Hey everyone, this is Black Knight Says 57. In today's topic in hand, I decided to go somewhere that is a little more risque, if you want to say it like that. Basically, it's a topic to where it's like mainly for a quote older audience, or I guess high school level, or something like that. Basically, this is like something not for kids. Okay, so this is the disclaimer right here: is that this is not for kids. I guess this can be a topic for teens or older teens, and obviously for adults. And you're probably wondering, like, okay, what's it going to talk about? Well, I decided to talk about hookup culture. Yeah, kind of a hot topic on that one. Well, I guess this all depends on who you are, because if you're an adult, then it's whatever. It's part of the adult life. But of course, this can be a touchy topic for, when you're younger, like in your high school years or teen years. And I bring that up though because honestly, and let's be real, that's kind of where it all starts, If not, maybe a little sooner, but I don't want to go to that one. Anyways, but this topic has always been on my mind for years and years and years and everything, and this is something I guess I kind of want to talk about due to the fact of how our society is in a way, especially with the dating market and how things are. So I figure, like, you know what, here, I'll just talk about this, give my own personal experience, thoughts and ideas about it, and so on and so forth, That, and also, yeah, I kind of wanted to, I guess, change things up a bit, because everything I've been talking about has been, like, I guess, like, safe, or something to where anyone could just listen to. So I'm just like, you know what, here, let me get to, like, topics to where it could be, like, like I said, a little more risque. Anyways, so, yeah, for those who, aren't aware of what, hookup culture is, basically, well, like I said, again, disclaimer, this is for, like more like the older people, who I'm voicing this to and everything. But basically, it's where, like, you just, like, meet up with someone and you get busy with them. Or you're, like, messing around, basically. That's what it basically is. It's just, just mess around, doing your own thing, blah, 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 like that stuff, And here, you know what? I'm just gonna try to keep this like PG-13, as best as possible, without, saying things or crossing lines. Okay, and if you're not stupid, you can't put two together. So come on. Anyways, so yeah, for me, in I guess my experience, things are different though. Here, I will say that because I was born in 1992, so I'm a 90s kid, you could say. But I do have more fond memories back in the 2000s, because by the time it was 2000, I was 8, So, like, I lived more in the 2000s. I recall everything more in 2000s, because obviously when you get older, you start to recall things more and start to, develop, more things, logical thinking, blah, blah, all that stuff, So even though I was born in the 90s and I loved, my childhood, throughout then and everything. But again, my more enjoyable moments as a child, you could say, was more in the 2000s. So this was, let's see, I guess, like I said too before, this starts in high school area. So for me, it will be between 2006 to 2010. 2006, as a freshman. 2010, I graduated, in a senior year. Now, I won't say that's where exactly all started with me personally, or from what I've been seeing, because granted, there are some moments or things to where I will have moments to where I've either seen or heard, things kind of like that when I was a kid, or even in junior high school, because I guess that's where it like really actually starts in junior high, because everybody's turn like 12 years old, 13, 11, puberty happens, to where you basically evolve. Yeah, to me, this is always funny, but it's where you evolve from, like, a child or a kid. Like, here, I was example, I was a boy, younger and everything. So, like, all these girls, I'm like, ew, gross girls, kisses, ew, gross, and all that stuff, right? Or, ooh, here, it's called cooties. I'm not sure if that even still a thing. Is that still a thing or not? Cooties? Because back then, that's all it was. Like, yeah, they got cooties. Oh, that's so funny. Anyways, so back then it was like that, right? But then in junior high school, obviously all that just gets thrown out the window, or it just goes into like a 180. Because from what I can recall, I was, that kid, right? Then I was in junior high school, and I guess this slowly happened, but also it could have just been like a switch to where I'm like, oh, girls, they seem cute, but yeah. So like, I mean, like I had my crushes, back in like grade school actually, where I thought a girl was pretty and cute. In fact, I remember their names too, back then, like where they were. But anyways. But again, it wasn't until like junior high school to where I started to have more interests, in like other things besides, saying, oh, they look pretty and cute, But I remember that in junior high school too. Besides that, everyone was, having their emotions, like kind of going all over the place and everything, right? But when it came to like the topic in hand about messing around, it wasn't really talked about, but it was more of like a curiosity, That's where, it starts to explore things, trying to find out, this and that, so forth. And you're like, oh, okay. And hopefully, you had someone, an adult, obviously, who was there to like guide you or like, to say, oh, don't do this, don't do that. But, excuse me, but in a common sense way, or like to where it's just like, yeah, you're telling them don't do it, obviously, but you will explain to them why with good reason. And no, you don't have to go into details. That I know that too. You don't have to tell them like the whole, science behind it exactly, or like how like the body works exactly. But you basically just give them like common knowledge, basis of saying well, you can't do this because this will happen, and for other reasons. However, I know for some adults and parents, obviously, it's just like sometimes people can take it too far to where they'll tell them no and then just leave it like that, or they'll tell them no and then they'll just say all the horrible things that can happen, which again, that is fair, and yes, they should know that like we should be educated about that stuff. But it's just like if you just leave it as that and not tell them like I guess like what actually happens and everything, then it's like it kind of leaves someone in like a bad trauma experience, I guess you could say. I don't know, but yeah, so anyways, I'm kind of like, I guess, going all over the place on this because, like I said, in these videos, I just say anything that's on my mind at the moment. I don't really like, edit much. Anyways, so yeah, so this all starts in high school, right? And at least in my area or my school, no one was doing anything, Yeah, I mean, you had a few people who said, oh, this is my boyfriend or it's my girlfriend, Like, very few people. And again, this is in my area, So like, yeah, they were in quote relationships, but nothing actually like deep was happening. Obviously until high school. So now we're, going back to this now, because in high school, then that's when, curiosity becomes even more out there. And then that's when, people start experimenting and stuff. And as a guy, when I was in high school, freshman year, I didn't care. Sophomore year, I didn't really care. I mean, like, yeah, this was around the time too, to where, I wanted a girlfriend, I wanted to be with someone. And I actually was thinking about my future kind of, to where, I want a family, I want a wife, like that stuff. Yeah, in like high school, that's what I really truly desired, besides, wanting a career or whatever, So basically for me, my mindset was that, okay, if I find a girlfriend, the whole point was to, find my future, wife. So basically, if I found a girlfriend, it was because, well, besides, liking her and want to, go out with her, but the idea was to, I guess you could say, wife her up. I don't know how to say it. Anyways, but yeah, but it was like that. But again, like I said, freshman year, I didn't really care much. Sophomore year, I didn't really care much. It wasn't until like junior year to where I was like 15, 16, right? Actually, no, like turned 16, because in high school, and again, in my area and like other schools too, I bet, or I can imagine, there was like kind of like a pressure, to where like you had to have a girlfriend or you had to have a boyfriend. So that was like the first thing. But then it starts to get more complex to where, and again, this is from like a boy's point of view, you could say, because back then, I don't know how it is, nowadays. I mean, maybe it's the same thing too. I don't know. But back then, there was lots of talk about saying that if you didn't lose your V card, you were a loser. I'm not joking. That's basically how the idea was back in high school, you know? And like, and here, again, I'm not sure how it is nowadays because obviously, you know, high school was what? 14 years ago. Holy crap. Saying it out loud sounds crazy to me. But back then that's how it was. Now, obviously, this wasn't, you know, outspoken, like out there a lot to where like the teachers will know and everything. But then again, you know, they're adults, you know, they've been through it too. So again, I'm pretty sure that this is still happening. But it was within like, you know, the boys at least, to where like, yeah, like if you didn't lose your V card by the end of high school, you were like, you know, seen as like a loser or just, you know, not cool or like whatever. Yeah, it was like that, you know. And again, I'm pretty sure a lot of you probably has been through that, even as a girl too. And here's like, I'm not a girl. I don't know how it's with girls, you know, but I can tell you that with girls, when they have boyfriends, it's like, I had no idea if they had the same, you know, process like that to where they might think that that's lame. But from what I've seen and what I've been told, for them, it was like, if they had a boyfriend, they felt pressure to give it up, you know? And I'm pretty sure it's because, you know, they were told as girls to you know, keep it, don't let, you know, like boys, you know, do this, do that, or take advantage, whatever, which is, you know, true and fair, obviously. But with them, it was like that, where they were pressured to like just, you know, give it up, or, which is kind of sad too in a way as well. But this is the truth, because again, I lived through it, to where some girls felt like, you know, if they want to, you know, love, or felt, you know, needed or wanted, that they had to give it up, you know? So it was like that. And what was the other thing too? Oh yes, right. So like that's one thing. The other thing, from what I've been told too, is that like they would actually lie and say, oh yeah, I've, you know, been with so and so, or oh, I've been with, you know, this amount of guys, and they will lie about it because like again, for us guys, it was like, if you didn't do it, you were a loser, right? Well, for them, apparently, if you weren't with a big one or whatever, you were seen as a loser too. I was like, wait, what? And true story, I kid you not, I've heard this from actually multiple girls back then. Even my wife has what told me from her experience back in high school. That's how it was too with them. It's like most of the girls will lie and say, oh yeah, I've done it, but then they will even like double down on it and say, oh yeah, I've been with a big one before, so yeah, I mean, who hasn't? You know. So I guess, so basically, in their point of view, it was like, if you didn't get with someone who had a big one, you know, like, and by big one I mean, you know, down there, because again, I'm trying to keep this like PG-13 as possible or whatever, but if you didn't have a big one or whatever, you were seen as a loser apparently. Because that was the idea, right? And this kind of relates to this whole like mythology or something like that, to where it's like, okay, apparently if you're a girl, you had to be with a big one because that's what, you know, women want supposedly, you know, they gotta have big ones, blah blah blah, and that stuff. And I'll go into details about that later, I guess. That, and for boys, it's like, it didn't matter, you just gotta get some. You know, and if you didn't, you were seen as a loser. And that's how it was. That's the whole pressure of it in high school. And again, I had no idea that this is still happening, but I'm pretty sure it still is, but in their own way, because, you know, social media and all that stuff, right? So that's how it was back in high school. And for me, I wasn't like pressured into losing it, honestly. I really wasn't. I mean, yeah, I wanted to. It's like, well, you know, I would like to, you know, do it. I like to experience it and blah, 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 right? You know? But it was more like, I was, you know, raised on to obviously, you know, not do it, you know, to save it for marriage and all that stuff, which is valid, which is very true. Okay, made that clear too, that, you know, that people should wait, and I'll get more into that later on too. But anyways, but yeah, so I was raised into that, right? And then I didn't get my first girlfriend until I was 17, so in senior year of high school and everything. And for the first few months, we didn't, you know, like do anything or whatever besides, you know, hugging and kissing, but that was it. Until eventually, you know, it happened. So yeah, so obviously, you know, didn't wait and everything. It happened months afterwards and so forth. And again, it wasn't like I was expecting it. I didn't put pressure on it, you know, and so forth. It's just like, I guess you could say it just like happen, or it's like we came to like, to the agreement to whatever. I don't know. But and again, here, look, I'm not trying to say it's okay. I'm not trying to say, you should do whatever. I'm just giving you my experience of what happened, of it. Because again, I well, older now, I strongly believe that, people, should wait until marriage. If not, the very least, do it with someone who you trust. And I'll get into more of that, later on. But yeah, so that's how it was back in high school, just this whole thing of whatever. Now, after high school, college and everything, things seem to either, I mean, I guess it depends on your point of view, because everybody's different on this and everything. Because for me personally, I mean, if you haven't like kind of like figured out by now or got the hint, I'm not really for this hookup culture thing exactly. I mean, I get it. I know why people do it. It's fun and, pleasing and everything, but it's just like a no, it really isn't. But basically, in college, like I said, I realized that, it either got worse or it might have got more exciting. And again, this all depends on who you are and how you see it, But basically, it was to where, once you became an adult, you realize that, this is actually very normal. And I don't want to say that, though. Honestly, I really don't want to say that. But I mean, reality is, it is. It's like so common now. It's normal now. In fact, I think it actually has become more of it, like nowadays or recently, which is, really bad now. But anyways, when I was at college and everything, people were more to themselves because, it's college. All they're doing is just focusing on their studies or whatever, right? And in my college, there wasn't like, frat parties. It wasn't like, what do they call them, sorority girls or something like that. There wasn't like any like, dorms. I mean, there were dorms, but it wasn't like those typical dorms you see like in those movies or shows, right? It wasn't like that. Basically, it was just like a college campus where people came in, did what they had to do, hang out with friends or whatever, so forth, and then they just leave. It was like that. But in my experience, at least, or from what I've seen, everybody was, doing the thing and so forth, but there wasn't really, I guess, word or spread of people, doing each other this and that, because, everybody's just, like I said, just minding their own business and keeping things to themselves, unlike, high schools where people are just gossiping all over the place. Anyways, but outside of college, where you hung out with friends, then that's when you start to, see people all just say like, oh yeah, I was with so-and-so, or oh yeah, we did this, or oh, we did that. And it's like, okay. But again, it was like to the point to where it was just, I don't know, like normalized. And it's this idea to where, where we come from high school. And I think, or like, I believe that, how I said like back in high school, to where for guys, it was like you were seen as a loser, right? If you didn't do it, until like your graduation, basically. So basically, it was still this mindset to where if you didn't do it, by high school, then I guess once you're out of high school, you're still seen as a quote, loser, or like you should be losing it like soon, right? Or if you did lose it, now all of a sudden it's just like, oh well, I got some, so now I probably should be getting it from other, like people, or that I should be still doing it with whoever I'm with, right? And then for the women or the girls, it was like that, oh, I should give it up for him because I quote love him, or this is how showing love, which again, this to me personally, that's kind of sad. It really is. And like I'm kind of here, like, what I'm trying to like really think deep in thought into this, because like it's just like, jeez, like that's how I feel right now. It's just like, man. And yeah, of course, getting busy with it and everything, of course that is a sign of showing love. It truly is. However, the thing is though, you should be doing this with the person who you're actually with, aka your spouse. Because yes, this is truly needed within a marriage, and I strongly believe that. I'm married myself, and trust me, yeah, like, as they say, it's the glue to a marriage, and yeah, I do believe that, besides just being there for each other and like loving each other, but Yeah, but when you're like in high school or like in college and so forth, a lot of people think, that like that's a, or like they feel like they had to do that, I guess, or like to them like, oh, this is how I show love. Which again, I'm not saying that's not true, because yes, it is true, but it's like when you're just like single or just just doing it, it's just like no, honestly, people who are doing it, they're just doing it for themselves, like realistically, unless they're being pressured into it, which is not okay, obviously. But anyways, but as for me in college, let's see, broke up with my first girlfriend and everything. So I didn't, like after I break up, I didn't, went out and try to find someone else, in a relationship. No, I was, sad, blah, blah, depressed and everything, right? And no, I didn't get to the point to where I, had to be with someone and then just do it with them, whatever. No, I was never like that. Again, like basically my goal in relationships was never to do it. It was never to hook up with someone. It was like never to, get to that point. I guess like at the end of the finish line, yes, I can say that. But at the end of the finish line, it's just like, okay, well, at that point, I should be with them, in a serious relationship, and then of course, married and everything. But so yeah, it was never like that, or at least with me. However, I will say that during college too, that's when I had my second girlfriend. And again, nothing happened in the first few months or whatever, but eventually, damn, we got to it. And that happened. And then while I was with her, so on and so forth. And then I think after like a year and a half being together, or like almost 2 years, was it 2 years? I think it was. I think it was like almost 2 years. Then we broke up for personal reasons and whatever else. But anyways. So then after the breakup with that one, again, I went back to just, do my own thing. Around that time, that's when I had two jobs and I was full-time in school. Yeah. So that kind of sounds crazy, right? Because I had a full-time job, and then I had a part-time job, and I was a full-time in school. And I don't know how, but somehow I managed to actually balance them all out to where I was working a lot and doing school, but I still did my thing. Like, I still had time to play video games. I still had time to hang out with friends and like all that stuff. So I had like a good balanced life, even though it was busy. Anyways, but during that time too, then I guess you could say that's when I was kinda out there. And I say kinda because, okay, so let's see. Again, I'm trying to say, or right now I'm really trying to think of how I should say this because I'm not trying to cross that line, to where it's just like adults only now. Anyways, so yeah, so basically I was single, and then I had friends, and I will say that this is where I came into the territory with FWBs, which is basically, if you don't know what that stands for, it stands for friends with benefits. But here's the thing, though. It wasn't with like all these people who I met, or I meet this a girl, or whatever. I'm like, hey, what's up? And then we just got to it. No. It was never like that. I was never the type of guy who was a player. I was never the type of guy to where if I just meet someone, I want to get with them like right away. Like, no, I was never like that. Unlike these other guys out here who do that. And to be honest, I'm actually against that. I really am. I never liked it how these guys said, oh, I'm just trying to get talk to this person just like get with her. I'd be like, all right, you do your thing, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, so I was never like that, So even though I met with a lot of, women and this and that and so forth, never actually made it the goal or purpose to just get with them, It really wasn't. However, the two times that happened, so this happened twice to me, it was like, I guess the first one was more of like the, how you say this, heat in the moment kind of thing, and also now I think about it, it was like that, but also this was a time to where like she came to me because of some guy broke her heart or something like that. It's nice, so I tried to comfort her and then gave her massages and and everything. You know what? I think I might have mentioned this in my ex best friend video, whatever. Oh, kind of like what happened. So yeah, so that happened, to where me and her, eventually, I guess like, did it, whatever. But one time thing that only happened, blah blah, right? So then later on, then I meet someone else who I actually met at one of the conventions that I was at, and me and her actually, I guess, like, clicked, like, kind of like right away, and became like best friends right away. And nothing happened between us for like the first like month or whatever. But then afterwards, that's when we started to get closer, and then started like do a whole bunch of things together for like a whole year of it. And this one was kind of crazy. I say it's crazy because, well, besides just being best friends, and besides getting down with it and everything, there's like a whole backstory behind her and with her ex-boyfriend at the time when we first like met or whatever. Actually, no. What's crazy with her here? I'll say this really quick. I'll just get a little context. However, when we first met at the convention, it was in the rave dance. And me and her were dancing, this and that, blah blah. And then she introduced me to her friends, and I said hi to them, this and that, blah blah, right? And then we exchanged numbers afterwards, and we started texting each other and everything, right? And found out that apparently she only lives like, I want to say maybe like 40 minutes away from me. I was like, okay, cool, And then it turns out, apparently one of her friends actually that I met at the dance, or whatever, was actually her boyfriend. And I was like, wait, what? And I felt bad. I was like, what? I was like, oh, whoa. Because like me and her were dancing, and not just like just dancing like next to each other, but I was like, dancing with her, getting close anyways. But it was like right in front of him, and for me, right away, my first reaction was, oh my god, I am so sorry. Like, I felt so bad. I was like, okay, if I would have known that was your boyfriend, I wouldn't have, got so close to you and this, that, because for me, I respect boundaries and everything, right? No. And then she said it was okay. And then she said that, well, the reason why she let it happen, yeah, get that right. The reason why she let that happen, or the reason why he let that happen, I guess, is because apparently on that night they got into like a fight or an argument, so they were kind of like pissed off at each other at the moment, and so then she was just doing her thing, and he was just like whatever, And then I guess like soon after that they actually broke up, and this happened in I think it was like in June, I believe, or kind of like early July. So then that's when me and her I guess started hanging out more, and she was single now. And then that's when, me and her started like get more closer and everything, right? So that's kind of how that happened. And then I guess like during the whole year, she actually was still talking to her ex. And it was kind of weird because with her, it was like a back and forth kind of moment. It was just like she was talking to him, then not talking to him, but then she was saying, oh, we're back together. And then she was like, oh, we're kind of thinking about, I don't know. She was just being complicated with him. And I'm over here like, okay. I mean, like, I was still her friend, and everything, because me and her did talk about things that, friends do. We like hung out still and everything. Basically, we did things without doing it. How about that? So our relationship wasn't just about that. Okay. But it was just like, I don't know, like with her and her ex, it was kind of going back and forth. In the meantime, me and her were just hanging out and just fooling around, I guess, But then, anyways, so then afterwards, after like a whole year of that happening, then that's when me and her stopped. And the reason why is because now here was the one rule that we had. Or actually, we had two rules, you could say, because, and here, you know what? Maybe I'll make a video about, just a topic of this, because there's like so much stuff to talk about having friends with Memphis, okay? But anyways, the two rules were that that one is that this was strictly just a friendship, just with having a bonus, you can say, I guess, but we couldn't like just fall for each other. So that was like the one rule, which I'm pretty sure this is the one golden solid rule of having this kind of relationship, whatever, which usually fails, And I'll get into that. But yeah, so basically the one thing is don't fall for each other, and if you do, you have to mention it or say it. And depending on the other person or whatever, they'll say, okay, let's either continue this, or hey, let's make it official, or say, okay, let's just stop. So that's one, right? The other thing too is that if we found someone else, basically like, we're friends, but then let's say we meet someone else, right? And then we actually like that person and we actually want to get with them. then the other thing was, okay, if we find someone else and we actually want a relationship with that other person, right? We will stop what we are doing. So that was the other rule. And that's what basically happened with me, is that during this time, that's when I found my wife, actually, me and her were just friends, and then we started to get closer and everything. And then that's when I told my friends, like, hey, so I met with someone, I like her and this and that, so we gotta stop, But I told her that me and her can still be best friends and this and that, right? Well, according to, at least with me, in my point of view, she didn't really take that well, because she liked what we have been doing besides being friends and this and that, and that she didn't want me to stop. She said, oh yeah, you can, be with so-and-so, but I mean, we don't have to stop, right? I was like, whoa, wait a minute, wait, no, yeah, we stopped. What are you talking about? Like, I'm trying to be with someone else and in a certain relationship now, this and that. And then that's where she got all upset. Now, in my defense on this part right here, here's the thing too. During this year, right, that we were, friends and everything, right? During this time, I actually, it was either 2 times or 3 times to where I offered her and I said, hey, you know what? If you want, we can be in a, legit, relationship. We can actually make this an actual thing instead of just, whatever, right? And all those times, she said no. She said no, what we have is fine, and that she didn't want to ruin our relationship or this and that, so forth. And I was like, okay, I mean, I was fine with it too, because it was, I will admit, during the time, it actually was kind of cool to where it's like, oh, I have a best friend, I can tell her everything, we can hang out, and we have like the same interests in, in like the, anime and like all that stuff, right? And also, she's actually one of the few people to where I felt vulnerable enough for her to tell her, my dark secrets and everything, so forth. And she was actually a really good friend, like what, she was there for me. She gave me comfort and told me all this stuff, and she was very understandable, and of course she would also tell me about her stuff too, and I was there for her. So besides that though, she actually really was a good friend, But anyways, yeah, so basically throughout the relationship and so forth, I offered her, a few chances to, make this serious, but she said no, and she liked what we had, and I couldn't really blame her. So I was like, okay, cool. So then now, fast forward, again, I meet up with, my wife basically, and then I tell her about, that, and then she says no, she still wants to keep going, and I'm just like, again, no, we agree that if we find someone and we want to be with them, we will stop, doing the messing around part. And she didn't like that. She got upset, and then that's when I had to cut her off, because I knew where this was, I guess, like going away, or like in a way, I should have saw it was coming, and I guess I kind of did. But yeah, I had to cut her off. I blocked her and this and that, whatever, right? But and this is the one thing about, I guess, having friends like that, you could say, is that everybody here, most people from right here who have been, or who had those relationships, even myself, would always say like it never ends well. And personally, I will say that the first one that happened, the one time, it's just like, I mean, it happened. It was just a heated moment, and it was like a one-time thing, Now, granted, it could have been something that could happen multiple times, but again, go back to my ex best friend video, and I basically explained what happened, and that's why nothing happened afterwards, But yeah, but so that happened. Now with her and everything and so forth, yeah, I had to cut her off because she broke the rule, and yeah, and honestly, I think she actually really did like to me more than a friend there, and that's why she kind of kept it up and everything, and I did too. But again, I offered her for us to be serious. She didn't want to, so I was like, okay, well, that was your chance. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, but that's basically just my experience with with this whole thing of being with other people. So I guess my count is, let's see, 5. I say that in a question mark like that because I had to think about it for a second. No, it's 5, including my wife. But anyways, yeah. So that's basically just my experience with it. Now, as for the whole thing itself, because, well, obviously, now that I'm older, and the last time I did that was what, 20s. I think that this was back in 2017. Yeah, 2017. That's when I officially, I guess, I stopped and just been with my wife since then. So 7 years later, basically, right? And now that I'm like older, for me personally, I feel more wiser, this and that. And I guess like, if I had to be completely honest with myself, it's like I do have some regrets, and I say some because here, look at it. I do want to say I have regrets, about that stuff, about just being with other people. But I say some because like the thing is though, the way I see it is that like, yeah, I shouldn't have done it, because like I said, you should wait until you're married, But the thing is though, I felt like with each moment, I kind of like learned something from it, you could say, or I took something out of it. Now, the first two times was with my exes, so I was in a actual in a relationship with them, and then the other two times was with friends, So I guess for me personally, I took more out of the whole friend thing because it's just like, yeah, no, this should be something with someone who who you're actually with, or like I said, at the very least with someone who you trust. And actually that's what happened too, because again, I wasn't the type of guy to just do it with anyone who I met. I mean, to be honest, here, the way I see it, it's like this. You can be gorgeous, you can be beautiful, you can be the most attractive looking female, out there, body and everything, right? But if we're not close, or like if you're like just mean or rude and so forth, I won't even touch you at all. Nah, I'm like pass, no, and so forth, right? So with my friends, yeah, I did find them attractive, obviously, because otherwise I wouldn't, I guess pursue it, you could say, and everything. But I trusted them, like I mean, I had that trust to where it's just like, okay, so if anything happens, basically if God forbid they got pregnant, well, obviously in the past now, so that didn't happen. But if they did, to where they end up having a baby or whatever, that I will be there for them, and they will be there for me too, and that we would I guess raise a family, blah blah blah, all that stuff. That's basically how I had that idea. So that's what I mean by trust, and I will tell everybody this too. I would say, save yourself for marriage, okay? That's one. But if you can't, for some reason, you can't control your urges or so forth, which, trust me, I've been there, done that, and this, that, right? So I completely understand that. I really do. We're all human, right? But if you can't, please, for God's sakes, be like do with someone who you trust. Like I said, because of in case they get pregnant or disease or something. I don't know. Basically, just make sure that person can be there for you. Can be there for you. Sit there, hold account, be like all that stuff. Because this whole thing about just being with anyone, aka this hookup culture, it's just honestly insane to me. It really is. Because like, yeah, we all have our urges. Yeah, we want to please ourselves, our sexual desires and all that stuff. And again, I totally get it. I really do. Especially as a guy who has a high sex drive. I have a high one. And my wife can vouch for that. I really do. But like, it's all about self-control at the same time, because again, I could have here. Look at basically for me, if I was like any other guy who was just out there just doing it, my body count probably would have been easily 20 plus. I'm not joking. It really could have, easily, if not even way more too, because of all the women and girls who I met in my life, and who I was like friends with and everything, But that's just not me. It really isn't. For me, I always saw it as, if I got in a relationship, cool. Now, if we end up doing it, I always saw that as a bonus. Like really, that's how my mindset was. But back then, it was like, yeah, I want to, get some this and that so forth. But I always saw it as a bonus. And now that too, I see it as a bonus, but I saw it as like a reward, because I guess like back then, that's how we see it. Even to this day too, if you're basically like this, if you're like a good person, I guess, or someone who just like or even normal person, and you're a guy, getting it with a girl, whatever, that was like a reward of of like earning it, you can say, especially if you're a good guy who's trying to please her, who's trying to, show respect, be nice, kindness, give her gifts, all that stuff, right? So it was like that. So that's how I saw it as like a bonus and a reward, for myself. And for me, I'm like, sweet, cool, awesome, But then you have like I said, these other guys who just do it and see it as like a normal Tuesday. I don't know. And what's even worse too, for me, is when women just do it and everything. Because I am totally against a woman just just putting it out there, just sleeping around, this and that, over, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And I know there's a strong argument, a strong debate to where they say like, you ever heard this term to where like, they say like, oh, if men do it, it's totally fine because that's how men are, blah, 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 right? But then if women do it, it's not okay, this and that. And it's like, I never liked the idea because for me personally, it's like everyone should be, not just doing it. Everyone should be like only doing it with who they're with, the spouse and so forth, which that's the main thing, right? At the end of the day. However, and I don't know, for me, this is kind of hard to talk about, or not really talk about, but it's just like, how do I say this? it's like I don't agree with that, but saying that too, I get it. I understand, because as a man myself, they say that for men, it's just like, when we do it, we don't get emotionally attached with whoever we're just doing with, which honestly, I guess I kind of vouch for that, because yeah, even though I was with my friends who I did trust them, so obviously I had some kind of attachment to them, but when it stopped, whatever, I wasn't like butthurt. I was like, okay, just like, let's like move along, So that's how it was. But I know for women it's different because they're more emotional, or like in the head part of it. So basically it's like, if they keep doing it, and the guy leaves or just or cheats on them or whatever, so forth, they obviously get hurt by it, which that's valid. And honestly, I'm pretty sure men also feel hurt too, but it's not the same, and that's the difference between a man and a woman when it comes to that part. That's why some men are able to, I guess, do it and not feel attached, and then just go back to whoever they're with, or go to someone else and just keep on moving, because usually, I guess, here, this idea comes from like, I guess, like the red pill community, to where they'll say all that, and then they'll say, oh, it's in our biology for men to procreate and just spread our seed around, which technically speaking, that is true, I guess, to a extent, because even the animal kingdom does that too, right? Not all of them, but just some of them. But it's just like, okay, but even if that's true to an extent, to where men can just feel, just do that so easily, it doesn't make it right. It really doesn't, because we're not animals, we're humans. We have our own, thought process. We have our, moral standards and all that stuff, we're more complex, creatures. We're not just, people just don't follow their biology and then just not think of the consequences. Well, not everyone, because there are a bunch of people out there who do stupid things and just not care, and that's just, oh my gosh, don't even get me started about this. And that relates to this too, this whole hookup culture thing. You have all these people out here who are just doing it and not thinking about the consequences at all. They don't care about the person who they're with. They don't care about someone getting pregnant. They don't care about having diseases. They don't care about anything like that. They don't care about who this can affect either. And this, and honestly, I hate to say this though, but this mostly falls on women, because of because they're the ones who are getting pregnant. They're the ones who have more value. How like, here, back then women were more seen as more gentle, feminine, and everything, and more like what do you call it? They had more morals. They had, what's that word I'm looking for? Modesty. There you go. Yeah, they were more modest back then. Nowadays, it's like, you see just half-naked women just on the street, right? Or like, showing the parts and this and that, so forth, or like showing all the curves and everything. So back then, it was like, there was more left in the imagination, to where if a guy saw a woman fully clothed, and it's like, oh, look at her, I wonder how she looks, underneath. Nowadays, it's like, yeah, you can still think that way, but now women wear more, tighter clothing, or like less clothing, to where it's like, well, what you see is what you get, to the point. So it's just like that, and then you got these people around here, and again, and oh my god, I seriously hate saying this because to a extent it's kind of true how like this is more worse on women, because like like who you're with or who you were with matters because of how men value women on about that, so whereas if it's the other way around, some women actually kind of either just don't care because they see more men as more, I don't want to say it's either though, but more profitable, and that comes in like, money and I guess like their status or even kind of like, like who they are in a way, and man, I feel like I right now, I feel like I'm in a tug of war with myself because it's just like, basically, it's like as of right now, as I'm talking, it's just like I'm struggling with my morals, you could say, because I know, like from good from wrong, from right to wrong, or good evil, all that stuff, right? So that's why I'm trying to like think about what I'm saying, but at saying that too, I do understand the logic and reason behind everything else. I don't know. Anyways, it's just, yeah. So going back to this whole thing. It's just ridiculous. It really is, honestly. And I'm not really for the this hookup culture. And again, for me, I do feel regret about the choices that that I made when it comes to my partners who I've been with. But again, too, I don't fully want to say I fully regret it because yes, again, I do feel like I learned something from it. So the way I see it is that I took that experience and be like, okay, well, never again, or okay, well, that happened, and yeah, I shouldn't have done that. So hey, it's a learning experience. That's how I see it. That's why I say that I won't fully regret it though, but I do regret just making that choice in general speaking, you could say. And overall though, people should be just saving themselves, from areas. People should be saving themselves with, a good person, who treats them right, respects them, be nice to them, like all that stuff, and that goes both ways too, and it's just, I don't know, it really is ridiculous, and to me it's just sad, honestly, all the way too. Again, I feel more, I guess like it's more upsetting when women do it, but I also feel like sad for them too, because as they're growing up, they think that oh, I have to give it up so that way he loves me, or oh, I have to give it up or he's gonna leave me. And guess what? Honestly, if that's the case, then okay, that's fine. Let him leave. If he can't wait, whatever, then what? He's not for you. Honestly, that's how it is. And then for a guy's point of view, now if she's too easy and everything, that's actually a red flag too. Honestly, because like, oh, she's easy. It's like, wait a minute. How easy are you with anyone else? And also if they're too easy too, that's also be just like red flag in general, just to tell you like, hey, like there's a good chance that they've been with other people, meaning they could have something on them that you don't want that could actually change your life, for the worse. But how worse, I don't know. It could be just bad or it could be really bad, and just people just don't think about that. Oh, and you know what? Now think about it too. While I'm like kind of on this topic as well, and so forth. Then of course you have the OFs, the OnlyFans stuff. Oh boy, I kind of want to make a own video on that too, because God, I hate OnlyFans. Oh my gosh. But anyways, but related to that as well, this also I know relates to the whole hookup culture too, because yeah, you might not have women out here doing it with someone on camera, but they're still showing themselves. They're still they're still exposing themselves, but the consequences that they're not thinking when they do that, or even just do it with someone on camera, is that this will affect them in the future. It's affecting them right now, and probably worst of all, it could affect the people who are their kids or people who will love them, because now they see them differently, especially the kids. Oh my god, I feel bad for the kids. It's just, oh man. I mean, like, I've heard stories to where like kids get made fun of, get bullied off of that and say, ha, your mom does this, or oh, I see your mom naked, or oh, I see your mom get plowed, or that's stuff. It's just like, what the crap, man. And say, oh, it's all for the money. It's just like, dude, come on. really is, oh my god, and I could go on a whole tangent about that. But anyways, but that stuff does relate to hookup culture because and like I said, even though they might not be doing it with someone on camera, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of them are, but even if you're not, that still relates to the culture because of the whole degeneracy of it. And what that's what this all is, just people just being degenerate, just not thinking about consequences and the actions they're doing, and you know, all this stuff, and morals aren't even there. It's just ridiculous, man. It really is. And for me personally, everybody says it's getting worse, which I think it is too. But at the same time too, partially I think it's getting worse because now that we have social media, people are just, you know, just saying it out loud, or people find out easier about who's doing what. Whereas back then, where people didn't have social media, to where, like, you know, they just kept it to themselves, and it was more private, you know. Because like what, even like back then, yeah, I guarantee people were, you know, just sleeping around too. Obviously, you know, I'm pretty sure that was happening. But again, it was like either more private, or it was just with fewer people, you know, mainly like, you know, in their area only, or just keeping it to themselves, you know, where people had more morals, you know, back then, and more standards, you could say, to where nowadays you can just find someone across the world and want to go to them, and then just do it and be like, okay. You know, that's just how much it has changed over time, and just all this stuff. I don't know. But anyways, I feel like I just been, you know, rambling about this, but overall, you know, into this whole hookup culture thing, you know, it's just bad in general. Okay, just no, it shouldn't be happening. It's degenerate and all that stuff, you know. Yeah, people shouldn't be just, you know, giving it up so much. And again, like, you know, going back to the beginning of this video, to where, like, you know, this all kind of starts, like, you know, when you're, you know, a kid, and this grows into more when you're, you know, you're in high school. This especially happens in high school, you know, and everything. And then right there, that's where you know, go into adulthood. So either you take that, or you change it, or whatever else, right? You know. And just for me personally, yeah, again, I'm not, you know, for it, and it's crazy. And yeah, I've had my mistakes, you know, and yeah, I shouldn't have, you know, done that, or whatever. So that shouldn't have happened. But again, I take that as like a lesson learned, you know, from it, right? So then, for me personally, when it comes to my kids, you know, like, so far I have a son, and obviously, you know, I'm gonna, you know, teach him right. I'm gonna guide him right. You know, tell him this and that, so forth, and whatever, right? You know, voice. Anyways, but yeah, so I'm gonna do my absolute very best to make sure, you know, he's on the right path. And especially if I have daughters in the future, man, I get the feeling that they're gonna hate me. Now here, look, I'm not gonna be that parent to where I'm gonna control their lives. Obviously, I'm not. You know, I will. You know, let them have their, you know, freedom to an extent and everything, and you know, build that trust with them. You know, obviously, but of course, I'm not just gonna, you know, just put them out there in the wild without, you know, with like no preparation or like knowledge about, you know, what could happen, all that stuff, right? But anyways, but yeah, just, I don't know, man. So that's like, you know, my thoughts on it, my I can say my backstory on it, and so forth. But yeah, but if anything, I do appreciate you guys listening to this. If you have any comments or questions about this, feel free to put them down. And if there's any other topics that maybe you want me to talk about or bring up, or if there's already topics that I've already mentioned, but if you want me to go down into more details about them, and hey, yeah, I'll be willing to do that. But I actually have made a list for myself about other ideas that I would like to talk about. Like, this one was one of them, and I was thinking about like my life as a gamer and my taste in women, or, you know, or me being into anime, and just like, and even other ones too, like maybe about, you know, racism too, because yeah, I've had a little experience on that one as well. But anyways, but once again, I thank you for being here. I thank you for enjoying this. If you did or not, go ahead and leave a like, dislike, leave a comment, which way path you may be. What am I saying? Anyways, hope you have a blessed day out there, and thanks for everything.